Hey guys, Jeff here, Schwartz Performance. It's our April 2019 update. It's kind of late in the month, but we were busy getting cars ready for the Optima Ultimate Street Car at Daytona. Years ago I raced at Daytona, and I always had this desire to win a race there. And Optima announced they were going to have an event there, so I entered right away. I was planning on driving our Pontiac Tempest, but we ran into some problems at the last minute that wouldn't allow us to take the car there. So I took my Scion FRS and I ended up winning the Sport Compact class. I'm really excited about that, and that's why we're delayed on getting our monthly update done. Let's go check out and see what we got going on. We're putting one of our G-Machine chassis in this 55 Chevy pickup. We've had quite a run on these lately. We're building a bunch of them. So here's the Tempest. This was supposed to be at Daytona. We rebuilt the original engine that was in here, so I put that one together about 10 years ago, and we put a supercharger on it and freshened it up. After 9 years of racing, it was a little tired. It made 710 horse at the rear wheels on the dyno. So I'm looking forward to taking this to Road America and going blasting up that hill that seems to suck horsepower out of cars. So it should be on the road pretty soon. We gotta investigate a couple things. The radiator started leaking after being in there for 10 years, and we got a new one of those coming, and an engine noise we got to diagnose. Oh, this jig table here, it's for a new product that I can't talk to you about right now. We're really excited to have a couple of these cars all painted now and ready for final assembly. This 69 Super B is getting some white graphics put on it. It's got a modern Hemi, of course our G-Machine chassis, and then this Eleanor Mustang, we got the graphics on there. It's got a supercharged Coyote, and of course our G-Machine chassis. We've got forge line wheels all mounted up with some Pirelli tires, and those will be put on the car here pretty shortly. This first gen Camaro is also painted, and if you look at it closely, you'll see it's metallic black with metallic black stripes, a slightly different shape. Looks pretty cool and very subtle. We've done a lot of rust repair on this 47 Hudson. There was much rust underneath these curved sections of the doors and rockers, and we've repaired all the rust behind there, put weld-through primer on it, and have now attached the outer skins. Those will get welded on there to make it a permanent repair. And then we have some flush-mounted door hinges we're going to put in here, and we will be starting on the chassis fairly soon. Once we've got that done, we can mount our hinges, make sure everything's square and straight, and then it'll be on to fabricating floors. You know, all the modern engines are great, but you just gotta love the look and sound of a good old-fashioned big block Chevy. This one's a 427 for a project. On the 75 Trans Am, we just finished the installation of the Kindig flush-mounted door handles, and we fabricated these custom engine bay braces here to replace the chunky piece of flat stock that looked like something off the shelf that was just chucked on there. Now we've got a piece of flat stock on either end and a nice tubular section here to add a little more stiffness to the body. This thing is just about ready to have final body work begun on it, and then it'll get blown apart and painted after that. We finished up the installation of the G-Machine chassis in this 68 El Camino, and it's waiting to be picked up. And then up on the lift there, we've got a Hurstolz 79 model. We've already done some work to repair some rust on the firewall over here and smooth the firewall where the AC box was. And we've got just a few more little rust repair issues, and then that'll be getting a G-Machine chassis as well. I believe that one's getting a big block Chevy. So should be a fun car, lightweight, lots of power, and a great sound. This is the 28 Model A Ford Depot Hack Woody that we built from scratch a couple of years ago. It's been on the road for a little while now, and the owner decided there was a couple of things he'd like us to change on it. Engine is getting dressed to look a little bit more old, and despite having 4 mufflers and a 2.5-inch exhaust as well as an X-pipe, the exhaust note was just a little bit too loud for his taste. So we've installed a couple more additional mufflers in there, and hopefully that'll take care of the problem. One of the problems with an open car that has no windows is any type of noise that you have, comes into the car real freely because there's basically no windows or no barrier to dampen the sound. So I'm hopeful this will be great, and we should have this wrapped up here in probably a week or so. The 70 Buick Skylark has just a couple of details to wrap up on it, and it should be going to dyno testing next week. That's the last thing we have to do before we test drive it and get everything dialed in on the street. So pretty close to being done on this one. The 71 CUDA, we've got just a couple details to wrap up here, and then it's got to go across the street and get all the interior finalized on it. But real close on both of these. We finished the actual building and installing of all the components on this 67 Barracuda, and now what we've got to do is do the final body work and paint work on it, and then final assembly and wiring. So it's a long process to get to this point, but I'm excited to be done with that part of it, and now it's on to the fun stuff. The Ford F3 pickup is really close to being done. We got to pop the hubcaps back on there, and it's waiting to go back to the upholstery shop for a couple of things that didn't get done the first time. Leather wrapped steering wheel and armrest. So should be on the road real soon, and this is really a neat truck to drive. I test drove it just recently, and goes down the road real nice. The 70 Chevelle's waiting for the engine to arrive. I guess it's going to be a couple months yet, and then we'll get back rolling on that. The GTO here, I'm waiting to test drive it. We've had rain on and off, and I was down at Daytona for a couple of days there, so hope to get that one wrapped up this week, do the final test driving and make sure everything's dialed in on it. Sounds like it should be. I'm real happy to see Dale working on his LS1 Miata. Meanwhile, my junk is just laid in the corner. This is probably the last time you'll see the Raybestos truck here at our shop. I'm delivering it to the winner in Minnesota May 6th. So sayonara, baby. It's been a fun ride. Well, we finally got our window mechanism pieces in for this 70 Chevelle, and those have been installed. We need to make final adjustments on the weather stripping and windows. One thing to keep in mind, when you have an old convertible like this, they never were 100% watertight. So we're doing the best we can to get everything nice and sealed up, but that's part of the old car you can't extricate. That's all for today. Thanks for watching, and we hope to see you next month.